Dear students, welcome back to Foundations of Law, HOX 6061. Today we'll be looking at some more aspects of Foundations of Law. Just a few remarks beforehand. Number one, if you may have noticed, I had put up the exam dates that could possibly be useful for us. And based on the response, I think it's safe to assume that more or less everybody likes those dates. So I'll finalize those dates and I'll also put them up in Moodle, and I will inform the administrative authorities in the law school about them. I'll also give you some details about the exams. It's going to be online. There's no other way around this, unfortunately. So I'll give all the information about the exam as well. Number two, regarding homeworks, if you may have noticed, homework one was due yesterday. Yeah. So more or less, most of you have done it. Very good. Uploaded it. And those who haven't, yeah, sorry. And homework two is up also. And you have 26 days, 9 hours as of right now to do it. Just remember, you're supposed to explain the breach by a lawyer, all right? A lawyer, not a judge, not somebody else, by the lawyer, okay? So whatever you do, make sure you write about a possible breach of professional code of conduct by a lawyer. I'm stressing upon this because there's always that one joker who mixes up lawyer with something else, police officer or judicial officer, or I don't know what. I don't know why, because the word lawyer is in uppercase twice in that homework assignment. So I have informed you about it now. All right. So today we look at nature of a legal dispute, and we have covered a lot of things so far. Now today the focus is more on practical aspects and what happens when you go to a court of law. So we look at the journey. How do you go? How do you proceed? What are the stages that happen in all of this? So we're looking at civil disputes today. Next week we'll look at criminal law, and so I'll talk about those things at that time. If you may notice, in Moodle there are also some more aspects. There's the Brussels 1 regulation, and then the article on forum shopping. These are very important from the trial point of view, because you have to determine where you will file the lawsuit. And there are very important rules regarding this. It's not like you can file a lawsuit wherever. It has to be in a particular place. All right. So in a simple way, let's assume, I'm teaching you this course and I fail you. Okay. You go to the dean's office, you go to the rector's office. No, nothing works out. You feel I've been very unfair, for example, and now you want to file a lawsuit. So there are various questions that will already arise over here. Number one, who would you file the lawsuit against? Yeah, these are what we call necessary parties to the legal dispute. It's a very important question to determine. So of course me, because I failed you, but since I work in the university, of course you have to involve the university. You cannot make a lawsuit and file it against just me, because I don't own the university, and whatever I decide, the university is my employer, and you have a contract, if you may call it so, directly with the university. So of course, then comes the next question: where would you file this lawsuit? Now let's presume you are from a foreign country, Finland. I am from India. We are in Estonia. The university is TalTech University, and we have the TalTech Law School in Estonia. So obviously we have three possibilities of filing the lawsuit jurisdiction wise. Number one, in Finland. I'm not so sure that's a good idea. Number two, in India. No. Why? Why would he do that? And then number three, of course, is the most obvious choice, which would be Estonia, which is where the defendant number one, that is the university, is based, and defendant number two, the employee of the university, me, yours truly, is residing. So of course, you see, all of these are important issues to keep in mind over here, and these are of course aspects that come up all the time. So what is the nature of a legal dispute? Well, legal disputes can arise in all sorts of things. Something happens, you're not happy, and you feel that you have been hurt, monetarily, financially, in a material sense, for example, and that gives rise to a cause of action. And because of this cause of action, now you have a legal claim which could be considered to be valid in certain ways, and now you want to exploit this and file a lawsuit. Now, what could be the trigger for something like this? Well, it could be all sorts of things. I knew this one situation. This was a Finnish student of mine, and he was running a sort of a business, some internet thing, an online company, and it was a scheme, and they were attracting people, and something weird. Anyways, so he is sitting at the harbor in Tallinn, and this nice friendly Estonian guy comes and sits next to him, and then they start talking, and then they start drinking beer, and then this guy is talking about stuff. So the Estonian guy is asking him, why are you here, tell me more about your stuff, and he's like, oh, I'm a student, I'm also doing a business thing. So the Estonian guy is like, yeah, tell me what business. And this Finnish guy is like half drunk, and he's like, oh yeah, I have this scheme, and I do this and I do that, and I do all sorts of things. And the Estonian guy is like, oh my god, wow, that's so fascinating, I really like your story, maybe I would invest too. So this communication, this conversation, as you can see, is going on and on and on. And then it's time to go on the ferry, and then the Estonian guy says, okay, bye, I changed my mind, I have to go somewhere, but nice meeting you. Few days later, this Finnish guy sees that there is his photograph in a newspaper in Estonia, holding a cup of beer in his hands, and the headline is Finnish fraudulent company schemes are designed to defraud innocent Estonians in the internet era. Yeah, something like that. And of course, this Finnish guy was like shocked, and then he realized while reading everything that this person who he was talking to in the harbor was actually an Estonian journalist. And this was this Estonian yellow press newspaper, gossip magazine stuff, and nothing serious. So just, and they had published this thing like an interview. So, well, of course, he was upset about this, and he went to the Finnish police to complain about this. And the Finnish police were like, this is not a criminal matter. This is a civil dispute. Why are you even coming here? And then now he wanted to think about what to do. And like many students, everybody who wants free advice comes to the lecturer or the professor, because we love to give free advice. And so he asked me, Pawan, what should I do? And he wanted to file the lawsuit in Helsinki because he didn't believe that he would get any justice in an Estonian court. But you see, the interview took place in Estonia, in Tallinn. The cause of action, you could say, arose in Tallinn. But you see, there's an issue over here. If this Estonian newspaper is available in Finland, then you could claim that, well, this newspaper is available in Finland and it comes by the ferry, and Finnish people can see it. So of course you can file a suit for defamation based on the fact that people in Finland are reading this, article piece or whatever, and so of course this would be something that is causing a lot of problems for him. So you see, these are different aspects which, as a lawyer, you are expected to look at and carefully understand. These are very preliminary issues. You could make an amazing lawsuit and this high, tall house and a castle and do all sorts of things. But if your foundations are weak, legally speaking, then you are in serious trouble. I mean, if you file the lawsuit in the wrong court, the judge will just throw it out. If you file the lawsuit and you have not brought in the necessary parties to the lawsuit, then again you have a serious problem here, because how can this matter proceed? If you look at the civil procedure code of different countries, there are a lot of provisions regarding how you can file the lawsuit, who are necessary parties to the lawsuit, how do you serve notice, all sorts of issues that are very important over here. And so of course it's important to keep in mind all of these aspects. So let's see, how do you file a lawsuit, and how would this proceed? So here's a very simplistic example over here, and now this is a real case, and of course this was in Los Angeles, the Millennium Tower. So I will put up some more information about this as well, and then you can see what it is all about. So anyways, this is okay, let me make a note of this: Millennium Tower. All right, upload. So here was a simple situation. Somebody built this tower, and this is actually a tower. All right, so it's a high, tall house, and you can see that there are other houses also. So this is a tower, and so this tower was built in LA. It was a very prestigious project, and so they did a lot of construction work, and each flat on the floor, there was like only one flat on the floor, and each flat sold for like $20 million. So it was a high-end project, and so it seemed to be going really well, and people moved in, everybody was happy. And then started some issue. Next to it, there was a metro line construction happening underground, and so they were digging over there. And as a result of this, first of all, some cracks started appearing in the house, and then later the structure began to tilt a bit. Not too much, just a bit. And so it has this 5-degree tilt over here, as you can see. So the dotted line. So now you had the serious problem here that you have a house which is a bit like this. So of course, what would happen now? Well, the people who had bought the houses, the flats, they had this committee, so they were very upset about this. And they contacted the architecture company and the building construction company, and they asked, like, what the hell is going on? How come we have a leaning tower of Pisa? I mean, we didn't want to buy a flat in a leaning tower of Pisa. If you wanted to buy a flat in a leaning tower of Pisa, we would have bought a flat in Pisa in Italy. We bought a flat in this really nice housing complex in Los Angeles. And what the hell is going on now? So the engineers and the architects and the builders, they said, this metro construction, underground construction that they are doing is the cause of all the problems. It's caused vibrations, and now the superstructure and the foundations are all tampered with. So the building construction, so the flat association people contacted this company, the state and the metro construction company, and asked, what the hell, what are you guys doing? And they said, look at all around you, none of the other houses have suffered, only your tower is tilting. What does that mean? It means that your construction company didn't make a proper foundation. Everybody else have such a deep foundation, and your guys made this little flat thing. And how the hell do you expect a concrete structure which is so tall to be stable when the foundation design itself is weak? So now you have a cause of action. Yes, if you spend 20 million and you bought a flat in that tower, it's worth zero. Secondly, nobody's going to buy it. And thirdly, If you continue staying there, chances are it may collapse one day, and this would be a really bad accident. So in this situation, who can file the lawsuit? Well, if I own a flat, I could do it alone, or I could form an association with all the other flat owners, and we could all file the lawsuit together in the name of the association, the Millennium Tower Association, for example. So that's plaintiff. Yeah. Or you could have plaintiff number one, Millennium Tower Association. Plaintiff number two is flat owner number one, flat owner number two, flat owner number three. So you could have 35 plaintiffs, for example. Versus, who would you file the lawsuit against? A defendant. Defendant would be the construction company. The one you bought the flat from. Defendant number two would be, well, the engineers, the architects, whoever designed this. Defendant number three would now have to be the state. Remember, the municipal city government who said, yes, this structure is fine. You can't just build a house out of nothing. You have to do paperwork. You have to show a structural report. You have to show all sorts of things. So who messed up? Where is the city engineer? Where is the city architect who agreed to this plan? And then, of course, you also have people who come and inspect the construction process, and people who are finally going to give the occupancy certificate. So, the city government is, of course, involved over here. Then you would also have to file against defendant number four, which would be the metro company, because, of course, you can't leave them out. What's important here is that all the parties to the dispute should be together in the same court before the same judge, so that this matter doesn't keep on coming up after every 5 years. It's not like, Pawan owns flat number one, so Pawan files a different lawsuit, and then somebody on the 14th floor, flat number 14, files a different lawsuit, and then you have 28 different lawsuits in 28 different courts or whatever. You can't do that. So you have to put everything together. If there are different lawsuits, then of course the judge will also, look into this and try to put them all together. So now that you have a gist of what we are talking about over here, we look at what happens in the pre-trial stage, and then the trial stage, and then the post-trial stage. Yeah, so we look at it in a very systematic manner. So number one is the complainant files a complaint. Now you see there are different ways to describe people. It could be a complainant, it could be a plaintiff, it could be a defendant, it could be, whatever. All right. So these are different terminologies that you use. So who's the plaintiff or the complainant? The one who files the complaint. And the complaint must state what has happened. Yes. So number one, I bought this flat. And now Leaning Tower of Pizza has started in Los Angeles. And unfortunately, my 25 million euros have become, zero. Why the plaintiff feels that he has been injured? Well, hello, not only am I suffering a financial damage, but also mental trauma and stress. People have to worry about jobs, people have to worry about family and our children's homework, old parents, coronavirus, and on top of that now, I have a Leaning Tower of Pizza, and what area of law is involved? Well, obviously, you would then say over here that either this is civil, so negligence. Yeah, somebody should have taken care, and they have not taken care. Nobody has died yet, but this has caused a lot of harm, injury, and it's all due to negligence of somebody, and so now you want damages because you want your money back, you want compensation, and you want this, whoever did this to be punished. What statute or other law is relevant? Yeah, very important here. So of course the Civil Procedure Code, number one. Then you would have the building code or the construction law or environmental law, all sorts of these issues that would come up here. Law of contracts, law of obligations, in your agreement there are warranties, guarantees, all of that comes in here. Consumer protection, put everything inside. Don't leave anything out, all right? It's important that everything should be covered. That's why you go to a lawyer. Okay, you don't just write that, oh, constitution of my country says I have a right to life and my life is in danger. That's stupid. All right, that's not what a lawyer does. That's what an amateur person who has studied from the Wikipedia law school, University of Google has in mind. That's not how lawyers work. You have to outline exactly what are the laws that are impacted over here. And then lastly, what relief do you want? The court isn't interested in your little speech. The court wants to know finally, okay, what do you want? Yeah. And then of course, in this also, if you have some exchange, some correspondence or whatever, all of that you also put in over here. And so this is of course very complicated. So you need to have a good lawyer who understands the subject, and then you can get this thing worked up. And then of course, this is now served on the defendant, and the defendant has to answer to the complaint. So it doesn't happen overnight. You file the complaint in the court, in the correct court. Yeah, so you have to find out which court. Of course, over here jurisdiction plays an important role. You're going to file a lawsuit in the court in Los Angeles. You're claiming damages of 100 million US dollars. Well, you have to file along with your complaint. You also have to submit, have to pay money, court fees. All right, this could be quite a substantial sum. It could be 10% of what you are claiming. Well, if you want 100 million, then why should the state not get a bit of that money? So of course, in advance, right? So you have to pay the court fees, and this is something you have to be careful about. So, you want to charge 1 billion, 1 trillion, whatever fancy sum you have in mind. Very good. Congratulations. Now pay court fees, 10% of that. And let's see, are you serious or not? So of course, again, you have different types of courts. You could have a small causes court where if it's less than 10,000 or 100,000, you go there. Then you have a proper court where, if it's an issue, then you need to file higher sum of money. It could be for a consumer protection. Then again, it could be a different court. For example, breach of contract, trust. These could be a different court, for example. And if it's a very substantial matter, maybe you go directly to the high court because of peculiarities. So again, this is what a lawyer who's an expert and based in that area will be able to tell you. All right. So as you see, I hope you can understand that these are very serious consequences, and so court is very serious work as such. So you have the defendant, and now you have served the complaint on the defendant, and the defendant now has a month or whatever time to reply back. And so you tell the defendant, okay, this is the matter and I'm filing the lawsuit, and this is the court, this is the time, you have to come at this time, this is the appointed time, and you have 2 months to figure out what you want to do. And so now the defendant is expected to file an answer, so that now when you are in court at the appointed date 2 months later or 1 month later, you all have already an idea about each other's views and point. So both parties should be adequately informed in time about these things. Sometimes you cannot find a defendant. That could be a problem. And so for that, you have to be very careful as well. How do you find a defendant? You have an address. What if the defendant is not there? What if the company became bankrupt? Do you file against the trustees, against the ex-directors? All of these are very complicated issues, which have to be resolved. And so, of course, sometimes if you cannot find the person, you could, paste a notice on the wall or on the door of their flat or office or whatever. You could send an email message. You could send a phone message. Of course, this is tricky now. All right. So, for example, there was this one case where there was this man and he had a girlfriend and she became pregnant and so she gave birth to their child, and now she wanted him to pay for the child support, and this guy was just not available. He didn't pick up the phone. He could not be found. His address was changing all the time. He was renting in different places, and so now it's very difficult to pinpoint and find this guy. So this ex-girlfriend of his went to the lawyer, and so the lawyer said, hey, maybe this guy is on Facebook. Yeah. So they found his profile on Facebook, and well, this lawyer made a fake profile of some really attractive woman, and with a nice photo with in a bikini or whatever, and sent him a friend request. Yeah, and so this guy immediately answered and replied yes, and he became friends, and then started chatting, and he was like, hi, how are you? And she was like, oh, I found your photo very attractive, and so this guy was very happy, and there's a long trail of communication coming out, and then she said, I have something to show you, do you want to see it? And he was like, yeah, show it to me. And she sent the attachment, in which was the complaint. So now, of course, this became a legal issue. The issue here is the service of a complaint by Facebook Messenger service. Yeah, see, these are important things as a lawyer you are getting at over here, because when his ex-girlfriend was sending him messages or writing to him or sending him letters or phone calls, he was not answering. So he could say, I have no idea, this is not my phone, I don't use this number, I don't know who she is. He had blocked her on Facebook and wherever else. But now you see, there's an issue here. The issue here is he has been served notice, yes. He has read the notice, yes. Has it been done properly? Who cares? He knows now that he has to go on this date before the judge. So matter closed. All right, so you have to think like this a lot as a lawyer. And so you're a defendant. Okay, now you write your reply, and it could be either no, I deny everything, or yes, I admit, which is stupid, you should never do that. Or usually it is, I'm not aware and do not admit, and put you to the strict proof thereof. So you prove it. I bought a flat from you, I don't know, I'm not aware, I have no idea, you prove it. You sold me the flat and you said the flat is perfect. Me? I have no idea, I never said the statement. You prove it. This flat is now in a problem because the house is tilting. Yeah, I don't know, really. You prove it. See, as a defendant, this could be a simple tactic to say, I don't know. Or it could be, well, yes, I made the house, it was perfect, and then you guys messed up, you did some internal renovation thing, you removed 5 pillars, and you guys put some heavy stuff over here, and after I made the house as a company, you guys made this swimming pool on top. Who told you to do that? And somebody added a helicopter pad, and of course the house will tilt. So there are all these things that you can do, and so this is now it. The documents have been filed, there's a complaint, there's a reply or a written statement, and now there's an impasse over here. Now the parties could either say, yes, we want to go for trial and we want to fight this out. Or they could say, hey, this is getting serious. I read your statement, you have read my complaint, and maybe we should settle this if possible, because this goes to court, this could cause problem for everybody. So it depends. But if you decide that yes, you want to file the loss, you want to continue with the trial, in that case, the first hearing would be by the judge, where she or he will determine whether this is the right jurisdiction, this is the right place to file the lawsuit, whether everything is properly in place over here. This could be administrative, or this could be even a judicial hearing. And then once that is clarified, then the judge will say, okay, everything is on clear track, and I will put this matter up before the regular trial court, and now you will have a proper trial, and the trial judge will look into each other's problems and stuff. So at this point, or in a very rare situation, the judge may say, I've read this complaint, it's stupid, it's nonsense, it doesn't make sense, so out, and matter dismissed, which is very rare. Usually, unless you have done something really stupid, this thing is properly well thought out, it's strategy, tactics and everything, so it doesn't get kicked out just straight away. So if it goes to trial, then you have now each side has to present their evidence, their testimonies, their expert witnesses, and so you have then examination, cross-examination, re-examination, and I am from the flat association. Remember this flat? So I will bring in my architect expert who will say, yes, this structure is not fit for purpose, and there's a fundamental flaw in the construction process or something. And then the other side will look into this and they will examine this person and try to ask what happened and why.